Hello, fictional. Welcome to the What If Essay. Today we are gonna see what if Issei's angelic lineage held a dark secret. The short fic. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Prologue, third person POV. It was a beautiful day in Kuo with clear skies and a slight breeze, except for a spot in the park where a family of three, a father, a mother and a son, stood, the father holding his hands out in a protective gesture, glaring at a man who stood holding a western-styled sword at the ready. "Ren, you can't escape me this time," the man said. "Ni confusion, what brings you to me and my family?" the father asked. "No reason, I simply wish to tie up some loose ends. You see, you stand between my house and another, therefore as the leader of the Shuzen Covenan. Fun fact, a coven of vampires is the collective noun," the man replied. "What's going on?" the young boy of the group asked. "Issei, Raiko-chan, get back," Ren ordered. "Listen to Tausen Issei," Raiko told her son. "It won't do any good, I can't allow any of you to live, and this has been half angel can't stop me." He smirked. "Let's test that." Ren said, 8 white wings spreading from his back and a golden ring forming above his head, a golden sword of light forming in his hand. "Oh, have some fight in us, do we?" he asked, rushing forward, and Ren slashed with his blade, only for the man to smirk and move aside at speeds Ren couldn't see. "See Ren, we Shuzen vampires have the ability of absolute speed, nothing is faster than us," he said pridefully and kicked the winged man aside, sending him flying. "I won't lose to you Shuzen," he growled and rushed forward, sword raised. With a wave of Shuzen's hand, Ren was suddenly bleeding profusely and embedded in his back was a multiple number of arrows, and he fell down to the ground and then stopped moving. "Tausen!" the boy yelled. Shuzen smirked and waved his hand once more, and Raiko dropped to the ground as well. "Tausen!" the boy yelled, tears in his eyes, and Shuzen began walking towards the boy. Shuzen, upon reaching Issei, who was crying over his mother's body, he raised his hand to attack when suddenly he was knocked back. He looked up surprised to see a young girl glaring at him. She was around 9, the same age as the boy, with snow-white hair and crimson eyes, wearing gothic-style clothing. "Leave Yihakun alone," she growled. "The boy?" Shuzen asked, confused. "Yes, Shu vampire, away from Yihakun," she said with a dismissive gesture. "You dare insult me?" he growled, raising his hand to attack the girl. "Pathetic vampire Kun, you and your archers," she said and punched him in the stomach. With a large shock wave and a sonic boom, a hole was blasted through his stomach. She then turned to Issei, who was crying. "Yihakun?" she asked. "Huh? Are you talking to me?" Issei asked, sniffling. "You don't remember Yihakun?" "It's me, Tria-chan," she said happily. "Sorry, I don't remember." Issei sniffled. "Oh, I know how to get your memory," she said, and suddenly pink flames burst to life in her palm. "Pink fire?" Issei asked, mesmerized. "These are my flames of healing, they can heal almost any physical or mental wound," she said happily. "It won't hurt me?" Issei asked. "No Yihakun, I'd never hurt you, you and Sakun are my only friends," she said, smiling. Issei reached forward, and upon contact with the flames he was covered in a pink glow, and flashes of images appeared in his mind. When it ended, the sun was setting, and Issei noticed his head was in the girl's, Tria's, lap as she ran her hands through his brown hair. "So, my plan worked, huh, Trihexia?" Issei asked, smiling. Issei's POV. "I smiled at Trihexia, or Yami as was her new name, as we walked. Ever since she returned my memories to me, we've been traveling around in the hopes of finding the last member of our group. We'd been searching the human world in the hopes our old friend would be here. We were currently in Kyoto at the moment, walking through the streets. Yami, holding onto my arm tightly as we walked, was listening with her enhanced hearing for anything that could be danger, while I looked around at everything, but mostly looking around. Ani-sama, heavy footsteps, scent of Oni," she stated quietly, calling me Ani-sama as I was older brother to her. "I see, are they coming for us or just around?" I asked. "Straight for us," she replied. "I see, we'll see what they want, and then we try and go our separate ways. Only tell them your new name, until we find them trustworthy. We still haven't found our friend yet after all," I decided. We continued walking until a hand was placed on my shoulder. I turned to see a man with gray hair and silver eyes looking at us cautiously. "What are you doing here, young angel? And you devil?" he asked. "Just looking for our friend, of course. What reason would we have to cause trouble?" Issei asked. "Names?" he asked, looking at us with a "I don't trust you" look. "Issei Hyoudou," I said. "Yami Leviathan," Yami said. "Leviathan, huh? What are you old Maou faction doing here?" he asked. "Old Maou faction? I am with my Ani-sama, not some faction of arrogant morons," Yami said, offended. "I see, follow me please," he asked, though it was more of an order. "Do we follow him, Ani-sama?" Yami asked. "I suppose it couldn't hurt, just be ready with teleportation magic if this gets hairy," Issei ordered, and we followed after the yokai in human form. After an hour of walking we were led through a pair of double doors and were greeted by a young woman with a voluptuous figure and blonde hair with matching eyes dressed in a shrine maiden attire. "Why have you brought an angel and a devil before me, Kai-san?" she asked. "The girl is a descendant of the original Leviathan, I believe her to be part of the old Maou faction, but cannot tell if she is lying when she acts offended at being called such. The angel is also suspicious accompanying a devil," he answered. "I see my name is Yusaka and I am the leader of the Yokai, state your business in our territory," she ordered. "We are looking for a friend of ours, he's about our age, most likely has silver hair and obsidian eyes," I informed. "What do you mean most likely?" she asked. "Haven't seen him in a while us all, he could have dyed his hair," I lied. "Well, then care to explain why you an angel is with her a devil?" she asked. Suddenly a bird flew through a window and landed beside Yumi, transforming into another Yumi who whispered into the original Yumi's ear and the original smirked. "Ani-sama, Mei-chan has found Sakun." She smiled. "Teleport us now then." I smirked and before the Yokai could do anything a black magic circle appeared under us and we were gone. We reappeared in a snowy area and right in front of us was a boy our age with silver hair and obsidian black eyes. "Who are you?" he asked surprised. "Sakun doesn't remember me either, just like you Ani-sama," Yumi said. "That is true." I smiled. "Who are you two?" he asked relaxing slightly. "I'm Issei Hyoudou and this is my foster sister and best friend, Yumi Leviathan," I informed. "I'm Vali Lucifer," he greeted in return. "Ani-sama, can I see if my healing flames will work on him as well?" Yumi asked summoning the pink flames making Vali jump back slightly. "Well, if their healing properties gave me back my previous memories that would work as well," I said. "Vali-kun, would you please allow me to heal you?" Yumi asked politely. "Heal me? With fire?" he asked. "These are my flames of healing, one type out of the 6 I'm able to use," she explained. "Okay, healing flames, I'll bite it could help me or end my pitiful existence." He sighed. Yumi nodded and held out the ball of pink fire and he reached forward, the same way it happened with me, he touched the pink fire and was covered with a pink light before slumping into the snow. Yumi smiled and picked him up. The next day, after Vali woke up we spoke about our previous lives and our situation decided that keeping our identities hidden from the supernatural factions was no longer necessary and could now either add our true names to our new names or just use our true names. Yumi could do either, I decided to use the former method and Vali decided he'd do the same as me. "So how about some training for old time's sake ice?" Vali asked. "Before you do that, care telling us what's going on?" A familiar deep voice said. "Yes, it would be helpful and clear our newfound confusion." Another familiar voice said. "Oh, hello Drake-kun, Albion-kun, how was being sealed up?" Yumi asked smirking. "How was going insane?" The sealed red dragon retorted. "Not as bad as you have it now, I have a body after all." She shot back. "She has a point Drake," Albion said. "Who asked you snowblind?" Drake said. "Enough, we're all friends here, after so long you'd think you could get over it, whatever made you enemies you're not anymore if anything you're rivals now, which helps because Vali and I are rivals." Issei said stopping a argument before it could start. "Still for us to have your sacred gears is weird, do you have a sacred gear Yumi?" Issei asked. She said concentrating and soon a sword appeared in her hands and began emitting a large holy aura. I believe that I must have subconsciously given each of us sacred gears," I said thoughtfully. "It is possible," Vali said. "Well, it doesn't matter right now, we need to find a place to live and we need to get in school for appearance at least," I said. "I know, we can pose as a family Ani-sama will be the oldest, then Sakun, and finally I'm your little Amado, and we can use your last name from your rebirth," Yumi said smiling. "That's a great idea Yumi," I complimented. "Okay then but where do we go?" Vali asked. "The place I was reborn, Kuo Town, it will provide an excellent base of operations for us," I said. "Well, it seems we've got everything decided, but what about our power it might be diminished from our lack of training." "Yumi's isn't but you are right we're missing some training, we'll train every Sunday and Thursday," Issei decided. "Fair enough, how about you dragons?" Vali asked. "Very well, I'm going to sleep," Drake said. "I have no reason to object, I will wait for when I am needed," Albion said. "Okay, let's go," I said. Third person POV. It's been 7 years since the trio found themselves a home and created their identities, and they were now in their second year of Kuo Academy, quickly becoming some of the most popular students in the school. Issei was one of the kindest people being nice to everyone and even helping others in class. Vali was also kind, but was much more assertive, and unlike Issei, Vali hated perverts, and when a pair of perverts known as the perverted duo came about, he began stopping them every chance he got, both became known as kings of Kuo. Meanwhile Yumi was easily in the top 2 students of the school, and she had developed greatly now sporting a voluptuous figure and her kind attitude. She quickly became the princess of Kuo and was great friends with her counterpart the prince of Kuo, Hyoudou, causing her to skyrocket to the top, becoming one of Kuo's great ladies. The trio simultaneously had gained a repertoire of abilities, along with gaining their skill back, though power had to wait for their bodies to catch up. With the help of the 2 sealed dragons the trio had learned to hide most of their power, with what senjutsu the dragons knew and hid all, except for the auras of their sacred gears. Even with Issei's control over them they were still resistant to him and gave off an aura of an unawakened sacred gear. With all this the trio fell into a routine which left them happy, but all good thing come to an end the day before Vali was asked on a date and would be going out with a kind girl named Yumi. All 3 knew she was a fallen angel, but did that matter to Vali? No, even in his past life he loved to follow his desire. "Have you been waiting long?" Yumi said to Vali as she found him leaning against a wall where he'd asked her to meet him. "Not at all, just a few minutes, now lead on Melody," Vali said smoothly. Yumi blushed and nodded. Soon Yumi led Vali to a mall, then to a movie, then an arcade. After that the two began walking through the park. As it was getting dark, Yumi stopped and Vali looked at her. "This is it." Vali thought, well, wasn't the worst date. There was that time I went on a date with that girl and her father chased me for hours with a holy sword, but damn she was hot. To commemorate this occasion, will you do something for me, Vali-kun? She asked. "And that is?" Vali asked, smiling. "Will you die for me?" She asked with a sinister voice. "Really? That was the best you could come up with?" Vali asked, his smile not dropping. "Don't blame me. Wait, what?" She said, stopping when she processed what I said. "You could have done better than that. Of all the things you could say, that was the best you could think of. You couldn't think of anything more badass?" Vali asked. "Shut up and die," she yelled, throwing a light spear at me. I smirked. I guess it's time to let the cat out of the bag. I dodged to the side and jumped upward with my enhanced strength. I easily passed the height she'd flown up to and used gravity magic to send myself slamming into her and subsequently her into the ground. "I'll allow you to live. Tell your friends mess with me and my friends and I'll exterminate you because, you see Yumi-san." 8 black bat-like wings spread from behind him, each absorbing the light in the area from the street lamps, and he formed a black sword similar to a light spear, except it was black in color. "I am Vali Satan, reincarnation of Satan himself, and this is my unholy light, kills both fallen and angels just as well as it does devils." I threatened and then turned and left her there to pick herself from the dirt. Upon returning, Vali explained what happened to Issei and Yumi. "Well, I guess they found us. We'll most likely be interrogated by the high-class devils tomorrow." Issei sighed. "Don't worry, Ani-sama, if they try anything I could deal with them," Yumi said. "Yeah, don't worry, they won't be a problem once they find out who you and Yumi are. They'll be too scared to do anything." Vali laughed. "Fine, but you're taking the flak," Issei said, walking off to his room. Yumi followed, going to her own room, leaving Vali to eat a late-night snack and then go to his room. Vali's pav. The next 8 classes went by as usual, and after the final class ended in came Hyoudou. After dealing with his fangirls, he walked over to us where we were waiting on Yumi to pack up her books, which were all filled with different kinds of drawings. "Yumi-chan, if you and your Ani-samas would follow me, the president of my club wishes to speak to you," he said, smiling. "Okay, Hyoudou-kun, lead the way," she said happily as she finished packing. The blonde boy lead us out and into the old school building. As we walked, Hyoudou and Yumi spoke about their shared interest in swordsmanship and their preferred choices in literature. Upon reaching our destination, I sat down opposite of a white-haired girl who I could tell was most likely a Nekomata, and I gave a whistle and said, "Nice place you've got here, could use Yumi-chan's touch and it would be way more comfortable." "Ani don't know, it is fine as is. If they want more comfortably they'll find it on their own," Yumi said, blushing slightly. "Let's get to why you're here." I turned to see who spoke and noticed a crimson-haired girl with blue-green eyes. "Oh yes, please tell us, Gremory-chan. By the way, how's your Towson? Being head of the Gremory clan must be hard," I said knowingly. She sat there gaping when I finished. "Who are you?" she asked. "I might as well start us off, Ice?" I asked. "Sure, Vali, start us off. You are after all a devil," Issei said dismissively. "I am Vali Satan, the reincarnation of the Satan, king of the underworld, the first and strongest devil, and the most respected Maou of my time. Please call me Vali," I said, bowing. Rias pav. I stared, gaping with my mouth now wide open and my eyes bulging. "I'll go next. I'm Issei Yahoah, the reincarnation of the god from the Bible, leader of the angels, creator of the holy system and the sacred gear system, though I prefer to go by Issei or Ice," Issei introduced, making my heart begin to beat rapidly and I began to panic internally. "I'm last then. I'm Yumi Trihexia, reincarnation of Trihexia, also known as 666 and Empress of the Apocalypse. I prefer to go by Yumi or Tria," Yumi said, and I blacked out. Issei's pav. "I sigh, we may have killed her. We may have killed them all," Yumi corrected, and true enough, they'd all fainted. Well, how about some tea? Vali asked pointedly. Fine. Yumi sighed, walking off. After a while the group came to and were now watching us warily. You're finally awake, now. Vali said. Well, sorry, but to find out not only is the missing king of devils in the room, but the leader of our enemy and a beast of apocalypse is here also. Sorry if we're a bit overwhelmed. The crimson-haired devil said. You have a problem with Ani-sama? Yumi asked. Well, frankly speaking, he's naturally the enemy of devils as the leader of the angels. What about you? You're a devil as well, right? Rias asked. I'm actually a demonic dragon god to be exact, but I'm a more neutral being than the demonic title states. Yumi said. Anyway, I've heard of these things called evil pieces that revive different species into devils. Vali said to change the subject. Oh, the evil pieces. Well, yes, all high-class devils get them. Why the interest? Rias asked. I may make my own peerage. Vali said pointedly. Oh yeah, you need a peerage. I said sarcastically. Shut it, but it sounds like a way to make more friends, and we both know why we need some people on our side. Vali said, and we both cast the same knowing glance at our foster sister. Rias and her peerage looked at us confused. But you obviously have questions, ask them now. Vali said. How were you reincarnated? Rias asked. That would be my doing. I informed. I set up a deal with the Greek god Hades, a very powerful god. With the help of Hades, he took hold of our souls from death and placed us at a moment where our reincarnation was possible, and Hades placed our souls into new bodies. I explained. Why is Yumi known as the beast of apocalypse if she's like this? Hyoudou asked. Yumi's main powers are the flames of 666, 6 flames with different abilities depending on the type of fire, and she also has the ability to bring her imagination to reality. Vali informed. She can bring her imagination to life. Rias asked. Yes, though of course she can't affect someone directly by imagining it. She could affect your state of dress or bring weapons into existence, but of course with the ability she can't create something that would hurt her, so while it is powerful it isn't infallible. I said. Oh, I see, her physiology plays against the ability, and she also can't affect someone's body itself due to the difference between her mind and another person's. Rias said. Exactly so, Gremory-chan, but another problem is I can create life, but that life has no consciousness of its own, thus I must control it myself. Yumi said. Vali's pav. It's been a few days since we met up with Rias and her peerage, and I had begun to think about my position as the first devil and king of my race, with what's going on with the 72 pillars. On top of this, the low-class devils and reincarnated devils were treated horribly, and this didn't sit well with me. Yes, they could be treated as their status, but to be treated as useless or badly was not what I liked. Well, I preferred the new Maou to the originals. The originals never treated the low-class terribly. Yes, they did treat them below middle class, but they were still devils and were treated as such. When I brought up our former positions, Issei waved it off, deciding that Michael was doing a good job and that he would still be the Angels' king, but he would leave leading the Angels to Michael as he hasn't done bad so far. Of course, upon mentioning former positions, Yumi asked who she would work with. Avoiding making such a decision, Issei said we'd think it over. After going through our morning routine and dressing in our uniforms, which Yumi and I had made some customizations, while Issei wore the whole normal uniform consisting of a black blazer over a white long-sleeved dress shirt with black highlights, with Issei with a black ribbon on the collar, matching black pants, and brown dress shoes, though he did ditch the dress shoes for white sneakers and wore the blazer and dress shirt both open over a red t-shirt Drake suggested he wear. I wore a high-collared black leather jacket over a black shirt, matching black pants with a chain attached to them, and black combat boots, getting away with the changes due to wearing the uniform pants and a black non-button-up dress shirt. Yumi's uniform was supposed to consist of a white long-sleeved button-down shirt with vertical linings, a black ribbon on the collar, a black shoulder cape and matching button-down corset, and a magenta skirt with white accents, consisted of, instead of black short-sleeved shirt, instead of a white button-up one, and a skirt replacing with the magenta, but kept the white accents, a pair of black stockings, and instead of the shoulder cape she wore a black hoodie, and finally she wore a pair of simple black sneakers. Well, classes barely changed. It was after classes that we met up with Rias once more as she sent Kiba to retrieve us once more. What's up, Riasan? Why did you call for us once more? Issei asked. Firstly, I'd like to offer you positions in this club, allowing you to get out of class when needed. Rias informed. I'd love to join, and with my Ani-sama and Ani-dono, it'll be even more fun. You're both accepting, right? Yumi asked, her eyes shining with joy and a hopeful smile on her face, head tilted slightly to the side. Damn it, she's too cute. I can't deny her when she makes that face. I thought, distressed. I must admit that she is very cute, and denying her means making her cry, and if you remember last time she cried, we didn't step out unscathed. Albion said. Flashback 7 years ago, Issei and I were training at the dragon pair's insistence with Issei having more stamina than me. He was boosting twice every time he boosted, while I divided only once each time. But as the battle was coming to an end and Drake yelled the explosion announcement in, came Yumi running forward, a smile on her face. "Ani-sama, Ani dono, can we go get some ice cream please?" she asked. "I'm sorry Yami-chan, but Drake and Albion want us to train." I answered. But I want to get ice cream together and I don't want to go alone," she said, her eye watering. "Don't cry, we can go later," Issei said, trying to placate the Empress of Apocalypse. "But the stand closes in an hour," she said sadly. "The cuteness. It's overwhelming me," I thought in a tone of agony that many would find comical. "We can't yet, we haven't finished training," Issei said. "Why Yami said, bursting into tears, a purple-lined black aura covering her as she cried. "Don't cry Yami-chan, don't cry," I said pleadingly. She continued to cry and the aura around her began causing the ground around her to come apart and shift. "Why she cried, and suddenly holy and demonic swords burst through the ground, causing the two to release their wings and fly into the air. "Just go," Drake yelled in fear. "Yes, go or we'll all four die," Albion said in agreement. "Okay, we can go Yami-chan, just calm down," I said quickly. Slowly she got quiet and the aura disappeared. "Really?" she sniffled. "Yes, Yami-chan, we'll go now," Issei said and began pushing her out of the room. Flashback end. "Okay, we'll accept the offer, thank you Gremory-san," Issei said and I nodded. "Yay." Yami cheered. "That brings me to the other reason I called you here, Satan-sama. As you know, I give regular reports to my Hiatus and Ani-sama and have been told to inform you that the current Maou would like a meeting with you so you may go about bringing yourself back into Devil Society," Rias informed. "Ah yes, I see, I hope you don't mind, but Yami and I will have to miss school tomorrow for this meeting then, and please call me Vali," I said smiling. "Yami-san as well?" Rias asked. "Of course, she's both mine and Issei's sister, so she will show up in our official meetings as a helpful figure to us. On top of this, she has the best memory out of us three and can remember everything she reads, on top of her reading speeds, which can be 300 pages a minute if necessary," I explained. "Very well then, come here before school tomorrow and I'll transport you," Rias informed. "See you tomorrow then," I answered. The next day, the meeting. I sighed as we exited the transportation circle to see a red-haired man that could only be Surzich's Lucifer, the black-haired and violet-eyed beauty that could only be Seraphol Leviathan, the cunning green-haired genius could only be Ajuka Beelzebub, and a bald lazy-looking man I recognized as Falbium Asmodeus. "Ah, you four," I said in a slightly cheerful tone. "Satan-sama?" Seraphol asked. "Please call me Vali, now onto this meeting so we can see what I wish to keep or change about the underworld," I said smiling. "Of course Vali-kun, follow us," Surzich said smiling. He led me along and soon Serfol asked a question that brought notice to my companion. "Is this Trihexia?" she asked. "Yes, I am Yami Trihexia, Yami Leviathan, though I prefer to go by Yami or Tria with my friends, I will settle for Yami at the least," Yami said smiling kindly. "Of course Yami-chan, we understand," Ajuka said smoothly as we entered a room in which was a large table on which was a bunch of folders and books. "On this table is all that we have accomplished in your and the original Maou's absence," Falbium said. "I see, thank you, Yami, if you could read these and give me a summarized version, then please do," I requested. "Will do Ani-kun," she cheered and began reading. After 35 minutes she finished and gave me a summary of what she had learned, all of which was good. "We were now richer than ever, we had more territory than the fallen angels, and our relations with non-biblical factions were mostly on either good terms or neutral. On top of this, our general population was at an all-time low even with the evil pieces. I see, you've all done a great job so far, and I think that deserves a reward. When I retake my throne, you four will continue your normal duties, and here is where the reward comes in. Firstly, you will all be my advisors, and thus will have much more sway with the older members of our society, and I will also be giving you the former mass family abilities to you four, and your descendants existing or not will gain them," I proclaimed. "You are being awfully generous, Vali-kun," Surzich said in surprise. "I'll be honest, I prefer you four to the originals, each was consumed by a sin, and while we are a sinful races, we cannot allow ourselves to be overwhelmed. You four are by far better than the originals, and to be honest, feel you all have the right ideas that we need to follow to become a better and stronger race, although I will want 7 advisors if possible. You four will be much more trusted as you have done so well and are by far have the most in common in terms of what the underworld should be," I explained. "I have a question that has been bothering me. You're the first of our race and its creator, why would you want evil pieces?" Ajuka asked. "To answer your question, I used to have the power to create devils as easily as breathing, and I could use every power from the 72 pillars, but now, I am drastically less powerful, though I could easily fight an ultimate class devil. I could not defeat all four of you together with my power, in fact the most I can do now is bestow those powers, such as bestowing the powers of the original mass to you, therefore, I cannot create any more devils with my power, the ability to create life, no god has had that in a long time, there is only one living being with that ability now the true creation of life of course there is a Longinus which has the ability to create life but besides that only the being I mentioned has the ability to create brand new beings from nothing at all, in fact to be saying he created life from even nothing is an overstatement, he is so powerful he doesn't belong even on the top 10 strongest list. I said and Yumi nodded slightly recognizing who I was talking about. Who is this person? Ajuka asked curious. I cannot speak his name carries a power which the mere mentioning of him could put his attention directly onto you, his name is not to be spoken lightly of even the strongest being to exist fears fighting him. I said. I see. Ajuka said all four seemed slightly pale at the thought of such a being. Though this brings me to my own question, you created the evil P system, yes? I asked. I did. He stuttered surprised. You are very clever to come up with such you show the largest amount of cunning I've ever seen in another devil, so I offer you a gift for showing you are a true devil. I said concentrating deeply. Yami, a hilt if you would. I asked. Of course Nai Dono. She said summoning a hilt of a western-styled sword with elegant and highly decorated crossguard and handing it to me. I took the hilt and summoned my unholy light to the sword and made a blade out of it, enchanting it with the ability to control shadows and darkness and the ability to use almost flawless illusions. The first demonic sword I've created in some time, a sword of unholy light which can create illusions that could fool even the strongest beings and the ability to control darkness. I leave naming it to you, I thank you for showing the true ability a devil can reach. I said smiling as he shakily grabbed the hilt. Unholy light. The same light that poisons even gods. He asked. Zekrom? I asked. He told stories of this ability yes. Ajuka answered laughing. Well he wa'n't wrong, my unholy light is only matched by Yahweh's light itself. I said. So God is back as well? Serziches asked. Yes, my old friend is back and we are spending time in Kuo Academy living our lives quite peacefully. I informed. Aren't you and God enemies? Seraphil asked. No, we never were. I answered. You see God and I have always been friends, I was never an angel as story said I was, I have always have been a devil god from birth to death and even in rebirth, I am a devil god instead of the devil human hybrid I should be. I said. I will go and get your evil pieces then. Ajuka said smiling and walking off. Ani Dono, we must get home soon or I will be unable to cook dinner. Yami informed as Ajuka got back, pointing at her watch which read as 9 p.m. We shall continue this another time, I do not yet plan to take my throne, but I'll bestow the powers to you now. I informed readying to leave. Third person Pav. After returning Yami made dinner for the three of them and they went to bed. The next day on the way to school, they noticed a nun who looked lost. Issei told Yami and Vali to go ahead and that he couldn't ignore her, so he led her to the church and before he left handed her a piece of paper which would alert him if she was endangered after that. The next few days passed quietly and it was the day after Kaneko found herself in trouble that Issei felt a pull in the direction of the church. It seems the fallen angels are making their move. Yami, Vali, you ready? Issei asked. Let's bust in light, unholy light, and flames of decay blazing. Vali said and the trio all flew towards the church. At the church the fallen angels were bringing Asia to the altar when the door burst open to reveal Issei, Vali and Yami. Issei had 2 swords made of light in hand and 14 golden wings on his back. Vali had 8 black devil wings and a broadsword of unholy light in his own hands. Yami had 4 black devil wings, 4 black scaled dragon wings spreading from her back and her hands and feet were covered in emerald green flames. What are you three doing here? Yuma Mono, or Rainer as was her real name, asked. Asia if you could come over here, I think I know what's going on. Issei said simply. Issei-san? Asia asked. Who are you? Rainer asked angrily. I am Issei Yahweh, reincarnation of God himself, and you are standing between me and a valued friend of mine, so I suggest you move. Issei growled calling the fallen angels and exorcists to take a step back in surprise. Asia please come here. Issei said once more. Asia shakily walked forward and stood in front of Issei. Asia Argento, I don't know why you are with the fallen angels, but I do know that you belong with someone or a group that cares about you, so for now stand back. As for you four and your friends, you have trespassed on devil territory and the place we call home, you've attacked my best friend and an ally of ours, for all of that, you'll pay, and I know just the person to do it, Yami-chan. You've wanted to fight for a while, here's your chance, have a blast. Issei said simply while Vali smirked. I'll join you Yami-chan. Vali added and the two stepped forward. Issei stood in front of Asia protectively as the demonic duo began walking calmly forward. Let's go. Yumi said, rushing forward, jumping into the group, and she began knocking aside exorcists who slammed against the walls of the church and the pews that were still there with the force of a bus, killing them when they hit the wall or ground, but with each touch the exorcists were completely engulfed in the green flames, which left only bones in the place of the dead bodies. As soon as the exorcists realized this, they began running. No escape from me, naughty exorcist Sans. You need to be punished for your naughty actions. Yumi said, smiling a kind smile which only made the exorcists fear her even more. Meanwhile, Vali had reached the fallen angels and was now lazily clashing light weapons with all four. As soon as Yumi finished the exorcists, she attacked a male fallen angel and a blonde fallen angel, her flames now replaced by azure flames. Yumi's paw. As I fought the two fallen angels, easily breaking their light weapons as if they were nothing, I noticed that my azure flames didn't consume the blonde fallen angel, while the other was catching fire in every place I hit. As I continued to play with them, I thought about it more and more and decided to end this. I punched with just enough force, missing them both, but causing a shock wave which caused the blonde fallen angel to collapse unconscious. There, now your turn, I said, and the azure flames were replaced by the green flames once more, and he was engulfed in the flames, leaving him a pile of bones. I looked to see Vali defeating the other two, and he looked at me. Finish them for me, please, he said, and I nodded, breathing deeply and then exhaling the green flames onto the two. Why didn't you get rid of her as well? He asked. The flames of emotion didn't burn her, she's innocent, therefore she can live and maybe join Oni-sama's saints, I said, smiling. I'll allow it, but now Asia, I couldn't very well ask you to go back to the Gregory or even follow me if you have been mistreated as you have. If you'd like, I can provide you friends and family that will love and care for you, Issei said, holding out his hand. I accept, God-sama, she stuttered. Please call me Ice, Asia, I will be your friend after all, but let's go talk to the family I told you about, he said, smiling. Third-person POV. Leaving the bones and evidence of a fight, Vali picked up the blonde fallen angel, and as the group walked, Yumi talked animatedly with Asia, making Issei smile. As the days after passed, Issei successfully enrolled Asia into Kuo Academy with the help of Sona Citri Serafo, Leviathan's sister and the student council president. Upon getting back from the church, Issei introduced Asia to Rias and told her that she'd be able to become devil and live a happy life. Though Asia had reservations, Issei informed her that her becoming a devil had no real effect on her afterlife, as only actions performed in life, and unlike the devils believed, devils, fallen angels, and angels all go to the same place when they die, the pocket of the afterlife overseen by death, in which they are placed depending on how they feel about the other races and their actions in life. He also promised that if she wished, she would be allowed to pray without damage. Yumi's POV. I smiled as we walked into the occult research clubroom, giving my usual cheerful greetings to the devils, and then I noticed there was another occupant in the room. I smiled brightly. Hi, I'm Yumi Trihexia, it's nice to meet you, I said, bowing slightly. Her eyes widened and Vali smiled. The Lucifuge, interesting, the obsidian-eyed devil said. Sorry for her, she doesn't have an off button, Issei said, pulling me back. So Rias, what's Lucifuge-san doing here? Vali asked. I am Surzich-sama's queen, you're the first Maou, correct? She asked Vali. Yes, Ani Dono is Maou and Ani-sama is God, I'm the demonic dragon, I said, my smile not falling. I see, she said quietly. To answer your question, Vali-kun, Grafia is here because my fiancé's family is pushing for my arranged marriage with him, Ria said, spitting out the word fiancé. You don't seem to like it, who is this man to have gained your hatred so? Vali asked. Riser Phoenix, a pig who cares more for the status of this marriage and his harem, and is arrogant beyond embodiment of pride, Rias growled. Well, if you don't want to marry him, maybe I could pull some strings, Vali said. Eh? Are you offering something? Rias asked. How about a deal? Vali asked. I'm listening, Rias said. I'm willing to use my power if in exchange, you will become my first advisor from the Gremory clan. Of course, your Tausen will represent you until you become the head of the Gremory family, but should I ever ask you for a favor, you must do as I ask, Vali said, smirking. Huh? Rias asked. Simple, I like to have insurance, you could say. I am not the most strategic of people, but it is good to have someone who can help me when I ask for it, Vali said. Rias looked thoughtful for a moment. Deal, she said. Vali laughed. Rias, you've made a deal with the devil, I won't be claiming that favor just yet, but remember that I just might, Vali said, smirking, and before Rias could say anything, a magic circle appeared, spewing fire, until it was replaced by a blonde man wearing mahogany-colored clothing, styled in a way that gave him a playboy sort of appearance. My lovely Rias, it has been a while, Riser said. Riser, I'll get straight to the point, I will not marry you, Rias said. Riser opened his mouth, but Vali spoke. Do listen and leave, you are no longer needed here. Who are you to insult me? I am of the house of Phoenix, and no one mocks the Phoenix in front of me, Riser growled. Riser-sama, calm down, or I cannot guarantee your safety, Grafia warned. What? As if someone with as little power as him could beat me. Riser said. Oh, is it cramped in here or is it just your ego? Vali asked. You. Riser stepped forward only for me to step in front of him. I'm afraid you're too weak to fight Ani Dono, so please leave before someone gives me permission to attack, if so I may not be able to help myself. A toy that is hard to destroy is so much more fun than the toys I had a week ago. I said giggling. Bitch. He growled, cocking his fist back and throwing a punch. I sidestepped and looked at Vali and Issei. Can I please? I asked like a little girl asking to ride a roller coaster at the amusement park. Sure. Vali said. No, you can't, Vali, be a little responsible. I swear ever since you pushed her and Akeno together, she's been more childish and wanting to fight more. Maybe she should hang out with Kaneko for a while until this blows over. Issei sighed and I pouted. No fair. I said. Hey, don't ignore me, who is this Ani Dono guy? Riser asked. That Riser-sama is Satan-sama. Graphius said. What? Riswer yelled. Yes, I've come back and it was just today I made a deal with Rias-chan here, which brings me to this, tell Lord Phoenix to come here in an hour, I wish to speak with him. Vali said commandingly. Yes, Satan-sama. He said and quickly disappeared into another magic circle. Now, Rias-chan, we leave you to talk to your Tausen, we've got to get groceries. Vali said and we left soon after to get the groceries needed so I could cook dinner. When we were about to eat I asked, Ani-sama, when will you reveal yourself to the angels? He paused his first but centimeters from his mouth. Soon. How soon? I asked. Why? He asked. I want to be one of Ani-sama's brave saints. I said. Huh? He asked. I want to be one of your brave saints. I want to be at Ani-sama's side. I said once more. Are you sure? He asked. Yes. She said. He nodded, then sneak into heaven and create me a set of brave saint cards, let no one see you, I'll reveal myself when the time is right. He said reassuringly. Yes. I said nodding. The next day, third person POV. As the day began and the students of Kuo began to arrive, the students aware of the supernatural noticed Yumi had overjoyed expression on her face, and this worried the devils because it meant something made her much happier. It soon became ignored as the school day went on, and finally the trio returned home to find a trio of cloaked figures in front of their house. This confused them as they were standing in the rain, and the trio were lucky Yumi could conjure a simply black and purple umbrella that covered them. Are you sure this is the house? The tallest cloaked figure asked. This is where, but I have no idea how Ice-kun's family got so rich. A voice familiar to Issei from his life before his memories as Yahoah were returned to him, but the name of the voice's owner was still out of his grasp. She spoke of the house which Issei had used his and the abilities of Vali and Yumi to get money to have a mansion built in a small corner of Kuo. I don't know if I've shown where Issei and the other two live, but this is what it is supposed to be. Maybe they've been doing sinful things. The last figure said. Hyoudou-san was a devout follower, he even had a holy sword. The familiar voice said once more. What brings you three here? Issei asked. They turned and noticed the reincarnated trio under the umbrella. Ice-kun, it's been a while. The familiar figure said. I'm sorry you sound familiar, but your name currently escapes me, care to share it with me to jog my memory? Issei asked. It's me, Irina. She said. Then it hit him, Irina Hyoudou. As Yahoah, his instincts automatically told him she was a holy sword wielder from the Protestant church, though why they needed multiple churches when they were all right in some way was beyond him. But his current body's memories told him she was his friend whom he had thought a boy due to her appearance and attitude. It has been a while, how are your Tausen and Kasen Iri-chan? Issei asked, stepping forward with his hand outstretched. She then noticed Vali and Yumi. Who are they? She asked confused. Issei said unsure if he should keep with their aliases as a cover. Ani-sama, we should get inside, I'm getting hungry. Yumi said, shifting through her bag for the key. Oh, you've got siblings now? She asked. Yeah, this is Vali, my adoptive brother, and Yumi, my adoptive little sister. Yumi, Vali, this is an old friend of mine, Irina Hyoudou. Issei informed, sending a silent message. Before I regained my memories, let's talk more inside. Yumi said, handing the umbrella to Issei and walking toward the door. So, old friends, eh? He asked. Ani-sama, Ani Dono, inside first, reunions and introductions after. Yumi called, already opening the door, and if either realized how funny it was that both God and the devil didn't want to anger their younger sister, they didn't realize. The three figures, however, were amused as they followed and found themselves sitting on a couch opposite to the Hyoudou males as they waited for the female Hyoudou, who was making snacks and tea. Third person POV. The first thing the visitors noted when the food was set before them was how much of it the trio ate, and the second was how delicious Yumi's food was. Soon they finished and silence settled as the group relaxed. So Vali began when suddenly he found a thin sword at his neck. Excalibur blessing. Vali noted. Who are you, devil? The tallest figure asked. I could ask the same thing, Angel. Vali replied calmly, not even caring that his subjects and slightly his own weakness was pointed at him. I am Griselda Corda Gabriel Sama's queen. She said. Hey, I care to tell her to lay off. Vali asked. Yes, I must ask you refrain from attacking my friend, and I wouldn't try that if I were you. Issei informed more for her benefit than Vali's. You're living with a devil. Do your parents know? Where are they? Irina asked. Dead, died a year or two after you left, but along with their death came a new side of myself that I didn't remember. Thanks to Yumi, I am back once more. Issei said, smiling. What do you mean? Griselda asked, stepping in front of the two, unsure of the safety of her companions and herself. You're safe. Issei said. Can he read my mind? She asked. I can read any mind that allows me access. Issei said, confirming his ability to read minds. What do you mean? Griselda asked, deciding Issei was the bigger threat and turning on him. I can read your mind because I am someone you allow to enter your mind. Issei explained as if it were obvious. Stop speaking in riddles. The last unnamed figure said. I'm not Zenobia Corda, I'm simply not telling you what you already know. Issei said. Are you really Issei Hyoudou? Griselda asked. Yes and no. I am, but I am also someone else. I've gone by many names. Issei Hyoudou is merely one of my two newer ones. The reincarnation informed. Out of desperation, Griselda moved quickly, grabbing the youngest member of the trio appearance-wise and placed the blade of her Excalibur at the girl's neck. Explain. The woman ordered, only for the captive girl she was holding to disappear and reappear beside Issei. Ani-sama, when will you answer them? She asked, confused. Fine, but you know I can't just tell them, they already know who I am. Issei sighed. Stop it with your silver tongue. Griselda growled. Fine, Issei here is the reincarnation of the being you silly humans and angels follow. To be put simply, as he said, he is known by many names. Issei Hyoudou and the Red Dragon Emperor are his two newest ones, but there's also Yahweh, God of the Bible, Christian God, some refer to him by the name of his son Jesus, so on and so forth. Vali said, boredom clear in his tone. You always were one to give all the answers to people. Issei sighed. Is this true, Ice-kun? Irina asked. I will not lie, it is. Thanks to Yumi's help I was able to make a deal and come back to my full self. Here, allow me to show you. Issei said, and from his back spread 13 pairs of golden wings, and over his head was a golden halo, appearing similar to a crown, as it was only an inch above his head, had 4 points pointing upwards. Lord Yahweh, I apologize for my rudeness, but I was just trying to. Issei held up a hand, silencing her. To protect your comrades, I understand. Issei finished. Then who is this devil if you're God? Zenobia asked. I, like Ice here, am known by many names. Vali, Lucifer and the White Dragon Emperor are my newest, but I am also Satan, the devil, and many other names, but among them, I am Issei's brother and most trusted friend. He said, causing the three to tense as his wings spread. Then who is she? Irina asked. I am Yumi Leviathan and wielder of Longinus, as well as my former and true name Trihexia, also known as the Empress of Apocalypse, and unfortunately the Beast of 666, though why I must be called a beast is beyond me. Yumi said, spreading her new wings. Instead of her normal black dragon wings and her devil wings, she had white scaled dragon wings and 4 white angel wings. I am also Ani-sama's Joker and a newly reincarnate brave saint, changing me from a demonic dragon to an angelic dragon. Yumi said. Then it hit the more factually Irina. Ice-kun is God. God is friends with Satan and siblings not only to him, but Trihexia as well, the chestnut-haired girl yelled before passing out. Meanwhile her comrades were frozen in a state of shock. Ani-sama, did we actually kill them this time? They aren't moving. Yumi asked, poking each of them and receiving no response from any of the three as she jabbed their sides. That'll be hard to explain. Issei laughed nervously. Ani-sama, I swear if we killed them I'm going to hurt you for not telling them when they first asked. Yumi said, giving the Lord of Angels a stern glare. The first thing the group noticed when they became aware once more was the two now known to them to be God and Satan were sitting on their couch playing video games, 3 sets of textbooks opened and work done on top of them, and Trihexia was nowhere to be seen. Where's Trihexia? Griselda asked. Yumi? She went off to get herself some sweets. Issei said dismissively, unsettling the trio of exorcists by his nonchalance with what was one of the most dangerous beings in the world, which was said to be capable of defeating Shiva and possibly even the Infinity Dragon God. No worries, she won't do anything without permission first. He said, reminding them he could read their thoughts. What do you mean? Griselda asked once more. She won't do anything without the consent of me or Vali or risk disappointing us. Yumi once ran amok causing discord, destruction, and mischief. The things said to be done by Satan in the Bible were actually a multitude of others, but mostly was Yumi. Of course she didn't do any of the real torture, that was people like Samuel. He said simply, it was during that time she met me and I welcomed her under me, only the top class angels knew of her true nature of course. The seraphs. Zenobia asked. No, the Ophanum. He said. Ophanum? Irina asked. Metatron, Azazel, and Cassiel, the strongest and most well-balanced angels that were under my command, capable of fighting entire armies of high-class devils with merely one attack, though Azazel fell losing much of that power, though I have no doubt he is still stronger than Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel, though Michael was almost to that level himself before my collapse. He answered. What happened to the other two? Griselda asked. Disappeared. Cassiel chose to leave my service and retire. I granted him this and the ability to do as he wished without falling, so long as he never killed for himself. He disappeared to do just as he wished, retire. Issei said as he fought in his game. And Metatron? Zenobia asked. He disappeared without a trace in the war, but I know he has not yet died. He's out there. Issei answered. End of the here. So that's it for today's video guys. Before you go, just like the video and share it with your friends. Bye.